Hi everyone, I'm Elliott Paige. Some of you have been following me on my blog, elliottdpage.com, where I write about just kind of anything that's hitting my mind, from trade issues to aviation, but also just everyday life issues as we go through life. And one of the things that's topics has always captured my attention is, how do small businesses grow? How do they figure out what to do in terms of just, young entrepreneurs, new entrepreneurs starting a new business, and how do they figure out and take control of their own journey and owning their own journey. So two such entrepreneurs that I recently interviewed wrote this book, Black is the Color of, Volume 1. It's a coloring book. It's a brilliant coloring book. And I'm just going to let the video roll. Stay to the end. I have a prize for you, for three prizes for those who stay to the end. And there's a clue in the video that you have to listen to in order to figure out the answer. Thank you. Thank you very much for joining me today on one of my debut videos. I hope that you can use this as well for your promotion, but I'm happy to have you and happy to talk to you about your new book and new series of books.
Thank you.
Well, first of all, why don't you tell me a little bit about yourselves? Why don't you start, Lynn, since you're mom and lady?
Well, my background is business and marketing, business and marketing. And so this idea, I had to call up my son and beg him to take time to work with me, because he is the one with the stellar creative background. And we talked and we came up with this idea to collaborate on this creative series, starting with this book product named Black is the Color of. Okay. And Omari, why don't you tell me a little bit about yourself, including your name? I have a son with one of his middle names is Omari, but you have Omari. So tell me about that.
Okay. Well, Omari is actually, I guess you call it my artist name. It's something that just naturally picked up because people will always call me like, hey Omari, and then eventually it was like, I'm just gonna call you that. And
I love it.
So so yeah, like everybody calls me Ao or Omari. Like, but my family and closest friends call me Omari. So I've been, like my mom mentioned, I've had a background in arts pretty much my entire life. More so as in my older years has been more so focused within the space of music entertainment, but not just specifically music, but the business of music and the creative aspect, like the branding of music as well. So I'm always, I always have my hands in something creative, you know some aspect of creativity. And before I got into music, I was into illustration and painting and stuff. And so it was a natural progression for me to work on something like this. But it's also something that I might not have done at this particular time had my mother not you know stayed on me about it, getting being just taking advantage of this opportunity, because she was hitting me up for a few months actually.
Oh, wow.
To
So
try to get
she was pressuring you. She was using her motherly authority over you.
Yeah, so eventually when I looked at it, it took some time and looked at what she wanted me to check out, and I was like, okay, this could be pretty cool. We could do some cool things with this. And that's how we kind of started.
And so you guys formed a publishing company, Sugarberry. What is it called? Sugarberry.
Sugarberry House Publishing.
What is that? Where did you get that name? I mean, it's a really nice, happy.
It is.
The name. It's so happy and bubbly. But where did you get that?
Right.
How did you come up with that?
I think we just kept talking, throwing out phrases, names, things. The the purpose of Sugarberry is to present what we call purposeful publications or products to the general market. And we just thought, with all the things going on, we wanted something uplifting, nostalgic, creative, artsy, things that bring a smile to your face, things that trigger happiness. And that was the start of the conversation. And we've evolved and we're learning as we're growing through this. So that's why. Omari?
Yeah, we wanted a name that wasn't, you couldn't put it in a box when you first read it. I always think of, Disney. Mm-hmm. It's such because in thinking about branding, we've had conversations during the development of this, and in the conversations are like, who's the audience? What are we branding for? What kind of product is this? But for Sugarberry House, we wanted something that was open-ended, not so much in a box, culturally or any kind of way. So, so we could just be creative, and Disney is kind of a good example of that, because if you say like, what is the brand of Disney? Like, what is their audience? Initially I would think that it would be kind of like vague during the inception of them creating that idea. Then, because basically the idea is their brand is happiness, like the happiest place on earth. That could come in so many forms. It's not necessarily for Black people. It's not for, Hispanic or whatever. It's for everybody, because everybody connects with it. So I think that's one thing that stuck out to us about the idea of Sugarberry, because it's not so much Black, but it's just open-ended, which allows us to, still deliver Black content, but it not be so, but it still be welcoming to people who aren't Black. And also I like the name Sugarberry because it reminds me of, blacker the berry, sweeter the juice as well.
Black is the color of volume 1. And you also have a volume 2 and 3 on the way. What made you decide to do this genre of book, and what's the purpose behind it? What are you trying to, what are you giving to society?
Well,
want me to go, Mom, or you want to go?
I'll just open by saying there is an empty space in this area of products. There are not what we initially started as an adult coloring book for your yesteryear life, your times as you were growing up, things you were doing. And so this is a book that kind of fills that gap. Well, we hope to fill that gap. And we hope that you'll be able to sit down with your children and say, oh, I used to do this. I had fun when I did this. Omari really brought this book to life because of the scenes that we have there. They're not just one-dimensional. They bring in the full spectrum of, okay, you were on the block, you were getting the ice cream, you saw the other kids, it's just a whole fullness of the scene. So Omari.
There's a graduation on one page, on the page that you're showing on the screen. I mean, that's beautiful.
Yeah, it was important. We wanted to like capture, because it's, it's so easy to depict or express like Black culture in a stereotypical way. Yeah. And so it was important for us to find those moments which were real, still retained all of the cultural signifiers that we all associate with, but just expressed it in a way that was more, which I felt is more endearing. It's more real. It's a little bit more nuanced, you know. But it's also you know the graduation scene. It's the graduation scene, but it's also a generational scene because it's showing the mother and the daughter and the grandmother. So all of those different notes that we hit, it allows people to be creative, but it also gives people a chance opportunity to tap into those moments because these are all things that many of us have experienced. And like even the cover is inspired by a famous uh, photo from a jazz photo. It's called a great day
Day.
in
Yeah.
Harlem, a great day
Yeah.
in Harlem. Now, objectively, if you've never seen that photo before, or even if you have seen it, you might not pick up on that. But it's little things like that that we wanted to put in there for people who know, and then if you don't know, when you find it, it's just an educational aspect to it as well.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's just important. The representation, I thought it would be cool to do it. And yeah, also, like my mom said, create opportunity for families to sit down and color together.
Right. So in the picture that you see where it's like a neighborhood, uh, elements of what you remember, your mother looking out the window, wondering, you know, where are you? What are you doing outside? And she's getting ready to scream your name for you to come inside the house. And, you see people walking down the street. And we have so many other elements in here of kids being able to play outside, um, which is different today, So again, we're trying to capture things that we used to do that brought us happiness, and in most cases that we miss.
But I wonder, when we start these projects, there's always this fear of failure, a little bit, fear that we're not in the right place. Often we're told this is not your space. Anything that seems to be something of progress or something positive, something entrepreneurial, is not your space. You're not supposed to get into that. And there's sometimes a discouragement. And how did you overcome? Did you have that fear? Did you have that discouragement? Or how did you have to overcome any of these fears, whether internally or from external sources?
Well, for me as a mom, I think I believed in um, maintaining as much joy uh, in my family's life, because there's always obstacles, challenges. There's always stuff going on. Even, in school, there might be, oh, I didn't get the A that I thought I got a B, or, these little disappointments. But if you try to instill within your family, your children, that sense of purpose and strength, and um, just that foresight to try to look forward, um, and make the best, do your best, or go beyond your best, and and just work smart at it. So I don't fear doesn't drive me, but it's not going to guide every move I make. It's not going to do that, and I'm not going to allow it to do that. And I'm wanted to make that same type of um, strength and purpose in my children. And I think it has helped a lot. As we mentioned with Omari, as he was growing up, and he's been doing art, music, illustration, art school, art camp, just everything to slowly give him the confidence and the strength to continue forward in his dream. So, yeah.
What do you think, Omari?
Well, yeah, I learned a lot from my mother. You know, she you know, growing up, I know there wasn't many Black people who didn't have entrepreneurial examples to look to, but you know, she had a, you know, many many side pursuits that she went over, which, you know, whether it was, you know, going to festivals and trying to sell food, or trying to sell,
Yeah.
you know, bracelets or random things, you know, all of these things, you know, help that fear that you talk about, which, you know, we shy away from the fear, but once you get into the process of like trying to build something, then you realize that fear is a part of the process. And sometimes fear could also help the process because it makes you even more focused on making sure that something is right. It's like, because you want to do everything possible to make sure that it's not wrong. So it's a learning thing. It's stressful. It's, you know, even it's never ending. But I appreciate the opportunity that we have to do this. So I appreciate the opportunity more than I fear the opportunity.
And now you have Black is the color of, and even in the title, it seems like it's the color of something. And so, what is that something? And now you have you have one that's already on sale. Uh, Volume 2 comes out when in spring in
Yeah, and about next month it does.
yeah, and then you have a third volume which comes out in the fall,
Right.
fall of 21. So, what is the difference between the three volumes? And it must be terribly complicated to do illustration. Are any of you illustrators? How do you? Who's the artist here?
Well, I'll answer the first question. So the difference is, well, like you said, like when you were growing up, you didn't have stuff like this. You didn't, you know, to look at. So my idea was pretty much start from scratch. So I wanted to volume one kind of, you know, do kind of overall kind of a volume one, but kind of keep it grounded and show like the time period between the 50s and the 80s. So a lot of the imagery you see in there is kind of nostalgic with that sense. And then volume two kind of moves it up in time from the 90s to now. Now, volume one and two will be more grounded and just showing representation with, you know, our experiences growing up, and you know, just very like reality based things that we could connect to. But then volume three is starts to introduce a little bit more surreality to it. And volume three is focused around our dreams. And I thought that could be a cool thing to focus around, but not just show dreams like from the perspective of a child, but also, you know, from a teenager, from an adult, because, you know, we stay dreaming for our entire life. And I also thought it could be cool to, uh, you know, depict scenes where you see someone working towards a thing and you see what they're working on, but it's done in a very, you know, reality based, but some with surreal elements and stuff. So that's kind of like where we're at with the first volume three, just kind of like introduction, to where like if you're not even familiar with Black culture, here's the introduction. Here's things that everyone, you know, if you meet any Black person, they're gonna be like, yo, we do this, we do this, we do that. And there's just so much. It's so rich. We have so much to offer and so much to talk about. That's why I named it Black as the color of, and I just kept it empty because, you know, it's just, I think Black is the center of everything. I think everything returns back to Black, but I just wanted to leave it open so we could like really pinpoint all these different aspects of our culture in a cool way. And the second question, I do illustrate, but I don't necessarily do that so much anymore. My main strength and focus is like creative direction. So I'll come up with the storyboard and everything, and communicate with the artist. And make sure everything's
I thought
executed.
it was Lynn.
She helps me out for sure with ideas. It's both of our ideas.
Yeah. Especially on the ones that were the scenes that were from the 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s. I'll say I remember because I was this young. I did this. In the book, we have skating scenes, and I used to go out skating. We have
roller skating.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, roller skating, and just so many different things I remember. And as we were talking it through, and as we were saying, oh wow, let's put this in there. And Omari would say, well, make sure it has everything that goes with it. And volume 2 is really going to pick that up, because it just shows the background, the actual reality, or the mid-level, mid-ground thing. And then you have all of this. So when you're coloring, your mind is going back. Okay, what color were the houses back there behind me? I know what the street color is. I know what my friend's color shirt he had on. So you're trying to, just trigger in your mind yesteryear, your memories. And usually they're good. They're happy. So yeah. Mm-hmm.
So I imagine it must have been very complicated on deciding how much to leave out, because you have so much material. And how do you decide what to leave in and what to leave out? Because then you'd end up with maybe a lot more volumes.
Right. Yeah.
How are you marketing the book? How are you doing the distribution?
Currently, we're doing everything online. So we started with Instagram, social media mainly, and then we have our own website as well. So, so our first push was our website is blackisthecolorof.com.
Okay.
So our first push has been to promote our website and make sales through there. We also have the book on Amazon, Volume 1.
Okay.
So Volume 1 you could purchase on the website and on Amazon, but Volume 2 and 3 are only on pre-sale on the website currently.
Can you pre-sell? Can you pre-order the Volume 2 and 3 on Amazon?
No, not yet. No, only because Amazon doesn't. Do they do pre-sales, or they need like a 6 month?
Yeah. We haven't gone. They have a specific system that you have to go through, and since this was our first publishing effort, we we're searching around what's the best way to do it. How should we put it out there? How should we get it printed? Distribution. It's a lot of elements to a book that we didn't even realize. All the way from copyright through Library of Congress, trademarking, everything. And Amazon helps you with a lot of things, but we're still learning. And so our Volume 2 will come out on Amazon at the same time that it hits on the website. And we're learning which path we want to take, and then eventually international. So
so it's definitely been a learning process, and it's been good too, because we're not only just learning about the best way to go about publishing, but it's helping us learn better about business and running the business, and these new tools that they have in order to help you do that, because there's just so much you have to do, and there's only a couple of us. So I think as we're getting everything sorted online, our next step is to try to get into local bookstores and local museums and stuff.
What are people saying? What are the testimonials looking like so far?
Awesome. I am having great feedback. Everyone has loved it. We've even have a good amount of feedback from people who aren't Black as well. So I think we did a good job in terms of uh, making it to where it can be inviting to people who aren't from the culture and stuff, but who appreciate our culture. But yeah,
Right.
we've been getting a lot of good feedback, and
We have this really cool backyard barbecue scene, and of course, we embraced it as our own, as what Black, that it's in Black culture, but
It's everybody.
people from everywhere. Yeah. And it's a time when families come together, they have fun, they enjoy, they eat good, they overeat. The kids and the dogs are playing. And, it's just something, again, to put a smile on people's faces. And I think it's translated beyond Black culture. And we have other scenes the same way that, it's just something, your first trip to the barbershop with your dad, when you sat down with your mom in front of the mirror and you put on makeup and she showed you what to do, how to do, and all those things are endearing to me. And I'm endearing to many other folks that have said that they remember the various scenes that they see in the book. And that's why it's important for people that order this. It's not just a, a child's coloring book. This is a book that you sit down and you educate your family members. You reminisce with your siblings.
Yeah.
There's a scene in there where grandma is frying chicken and in the kitchen with the telephone cord wrapped around her. But she's still cooking away. It doesn't stop her and she doesn't miss a beat. So it's a lot of things that you could just share, tidbits of, memories with all your family members.
What's next? What are you going to do? Where do you see the publishing house in 10, 15 years? What's next down the line?
Well, we actually have, in addition to coloring books, we also have like some journals that we have created that we're looking to release. They're like not regular journals, like concept journals. One is like rooted around writer's block, like overcoming writer's block. So there's like a lot of interest in.
I suffer from that, so I need.
Yeah, I mean, I love to send it to you so you could check it out. I have like a PDF that you could look at it in advance and stuff. But yeah, so there's a lot of activities in there, and that you could get lost in, and it engages writers in various ways to get them to approach it differently. But I mean, sky is really the limit. Like I have a lot of ideas, but it's the future is just trying to be more creative and more purposeful, really. Like just make stuff that's creative, but with the purpose.
Yeah. Well, you've started a great trend, and I love it that it's a feel-good book, and that it brings back so much nostalgia for many families. Do you have any last words? Any last words to your readers?
Also, I want to say that all the artists are Black as well.
Okay.
So everyone involved is Black. So that's important as well because Black
Why
artists
is
need
that
that
important?
outlet. It's important because just Black artists don't have the notoriety. They don't have the visibility as much as they should. And all of the artists that we've actually worked with so far is actually African. And it's been cool because we actually were fortunate enough to find some fine artists in Africa and give them opportunities to work on this. And a lot of those places, they don't have industry, but there's a lot of talent.
Yeah.
So it's just great that to be able to find people with that much talent and to give them opportunity to work on something that, you know, they might not have the same opportunity because it's just the industry is not there. You know, the US is, we have so much stuff out here and we take it for granted, but there's just a lot of people out there with so much talent that don't, you know, don't get that opportunity. So, you know, that was definitely an important thing to have a part of this, especially if it's called Black's the Color of. I was very, you know, I was stuck on that. It had to be Black artists. It couldn't have someone else trying to depict us. It wouldn't even read right if we, you know. But yeah, I mean,
and we try that's one of the things that's important, as he's mentioning, is to be authentic through and through. You know, with all that we create. You know, we're been talking about doing food, so we're definitely going to have a chef, a part of that. So it's important because they bring a whole nother element to it, and it was just exciting to work with, you know, people that have experienced some of what, you know, is in the book, and they're able to translate it on paper. So
Black is the color of. Wasn't that interesting? Listening to Lynn and Omari come up with, how did they come up with this illustration and the idea of a black coloring book? So I want to give away 3 of these books, 3 of the volume 2 versions when they're released. So you need to purchase this book, volume 1. That's already on their website at blackisthecolorof.com. And tell me what's on page 14. What's the scene on page 14 next to the scene where Lynn described the woman with a telephone cord wrapped around her while she's cooking and her daughter is helping her prepare a meal. So there's another lovely scene on the other side. It's very traditional Black. Let me know what that scene is. Send it to my email below at info@elliottpaige.com. And for the first 3 persons to tell me the right answer, I'll send them a free volume 2 of Black is the Color of. Thank you for watching my video. Bye.